करीम अम्मा बाद फ़ौज़ बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी वयस्सिर ली अमरी वाहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 245. We are doing juz number 2, tafsir of this surah. Now talking about giving handsome loan. Who is it? Manzal lazi yuqridullaha qaradan hasana. Who is it that would loan Allah a goodly loan, so He may multiply it for him many times over? And it is Allah who withholds and grant abundance, and to whom you will be returned. So Qarade Hasana, Allah subhanallah ta'ala tells us to give the Qarade Hasana. So let's the detail of it. Man means who. Manzal lazi, the one who, yuqridu, will lend Allahu Allah qaradan a loan, and hasanan good, fayudaifahu, he multiplies, lahu for him, adafan manifolds, it manifolds, kasira many, wallahu and Allah yaqbidu withholds, wa yabsutu and grants abundance, wa ilayhi and to him turja'un you will be returned. So here talking about who is it that would loan Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a goodly loan, so he may multiply it for him many times over. And it is Allah who withholds and grants abundance, and to him you will be returned. So let's see the details of this. Here talking about Qarade Hasna. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to give Qarade Hasna. What is Qarade Hasna? It is that which a person spends to support the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like we discussed earlier many times, we give in charity for our own personal gain, for our own personal benefit. But here we are taught that we should also spend for the cause of Allah, to promote the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as if it was our own personal matter, just as we spend on our education, our house, we should also spend on the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should also spend for the promotion of the deen of Allah. And Allah says that one who will give for the deen of Allah, then Allah takes it as a qarada, as a loan, which means that He will definitely return it. And how much will He return? More than what you give. So the one who gives in the way of Allah should never fear poverty, because you should have firm belief that Allah will give you back. So here Allah talking about manzal lazi. Man means it. Here it is for istifham, a question. Who? This question is for the purpose of tasweeq, arouse interest from shauq. Yuqridu, qaf ra dot. Qarada is loan, something that a person lends to another. When a person lends something to another, it is given under the condition that it will be returned. Literally, it means to cut something. Miqrada is a scissors. When one gives something, he is cutting a portion of his wealth and giving it to someone else. You must give a part of your own wealth. The condition is that you will get it back. So Allah, who is it that will loan Allah a goodly loan, so He may multiply it for him many times, and it is Allah who withholds and grants abundance to him, you will be returned. Kharadan, if for the loan the time period is fixed, then it is called dain. Dal ya noon. In kharz, there is no fixed time for the return. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guaranteeing He will return to you, whether in this life or the next. Hasanan, Hasan means beautiful. It is anything that a person likes. The thought of it is pleasing. It is also something worthy of being liked, appreciated. What does it mean to lend a loan to Allah? It means to spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. one's wealth, one's talent, one's time for the sake of Allah, to promote the deen of Allah, whether it is by learning the deen, teaching the deen, or helping one learn the deen. It also includes all approved charitable gifts or sadaqah. Why is supporting the deen khard or loan? Why is this word being used? Because it is going to be returned. If one gives in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether monetary or not, it will be returned in some way or another. There is a jaza or recompense for it. Also, it is called khada to make us realize that return is guaranteed. When you give a loan, you are given back what you gave. The reward that we get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much more than what we have given. The use of the word hasana implies that it is something given in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without expecting any worldly benefit from it. For example, if one helps out at a masjid, he may expect that he should be given a high position, or that he should be praised, or that he should be paid. However, in Qaradan Hasanan, one will not expect any such type of worldly benefits. It is also given without fixing a date for return. So, other conditions for it to be considered Qarad Hasana. First of all, Ikhlas is the first condition. Sincerely doing for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without showing off. In Hadith, Muslim, we learn, I am most independent and free from needing associates. Whoever performs a deed while associating partners with me, I will leave him along with his setting up associates to me. So Allah will not accept that deed which is done for others besides Allah, i.e., one expects praise from others when donating sadaqah. So this doesn't mean that a person can't accept anything when working in the way of Allah. This benefit should not be conditioned that he sets from before. If he says that you must give me X amount if I do this, then it is wrong. If one gets something, he should accept it as a fadl of Allah, bounty, without expecting or desiring it. Second thing, what a person gives. If wealth should be halal, not stolen, not from interest. Third thing, it should be from the best that a person has, i.e., when one says that they will work for the deen after they go to school and work, when he is older and tired, the best time is in your youth. And in Hadith, Muslim, we learn, Prophet ﷺ said, O people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure and He only accepts that which is pure. And the fourth thing, one should give willingly and happily. It's wasting one's ajr if they complain or do with frustration and anger. We will be tested when doing things for the deen, whether the management gives hard time, we don't get along with the people in the way of deen. We should be really careful and don't expect anything from anyone, because we are doing for the sake of Allah. Allah will give you. Fifth thing, should be given in the right cause, in the right way. If one is lending money, he should give it to one who is needy. He should spend for the benefit of deen. He should not spend on haram. And the charity starts from your home, and especially aqrabain, your near relatives, your blood ties. And sixth thing, once a person does something for the sake of Allah, he should not follow it with the man and aza, means reminding one of the favor and harming them. Keep reminders and harming them. Seventh thing, when one does something for the sake of Allah, he should only expect the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is different from ikhlas because here the focus is on the reward. فَيُضَاعِفَهُ, so he doubles or multiplies. Lahu means for him. Ad'afan, cumulative, doubling या multiplying it. Kasiratan, many folds. Wallahu, and Allah, yaqbidu, he withholds or seizes. Wa yabsutu, he spreads, extends. Wa ilayhi, and to him. So for yudaifahu, duad ain fa, dif is to double. Double something. Mudaifa is to increase something. So he will multiply for him. He will multiply the reward for it. Ad'afan is the plural of dif, which is equivalent of something. It's not limited to 2 times only. It means multiplied kasiran, many, many, many times. And kasiratan, it could be in the reward, it could be in the effort. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could give him many, many opportunities. Some say that the act of charity is multiplied 700 times. As is mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, while others say there is not limited number but rather unlimited reward without any measure. Nor is Allah unjust. He will not ignore your efforts. He will recompense reward. Prophet ﷺ said, whoever gives charity equivalent to a date from his pure earning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only accepts pure. So Allah will accept the charity with his right hand and he will nurture for it its companion as one of your nurtures his fowl until the date the charity becomes like a mountain. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making this offer to us and there is none more fruitful than Allah. Yaqbidu, qabad. Qabd literally means to hold something in 5 fingers. So here it means he restricts, he limits or he constricts. Wayabsudu, best is to expand or to make something vast. Here it means he expands. There are 2 meanings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is Razzaq or the provider. He is the one who gives limited resources to some and abundant resources to others. When one gives money for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when fears that there will be limited, don't let this fear limit you from spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second thing, the hand of whomsoever he wills, he holds back the hand on one's person so that he can spend and others' hand is open so they continually spend in the way of Allah. So this is like, spending in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a big thing. A person should have that big heart to spend in the way of Allah. So it starts from your heart. When you have open heart and you want to spend in the way of Allah, and the ajr will be given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from this world to the akhirah. Let's continue. So here in ayah number 246 Surah Al-Baqarah, Alam tara ilal mala'i. Alam did not, tara you see, ilal mala'i towards the chief, mim bani Israel, the chiefs of Bani Israel. Mim badi, from after Musa alayhi salam, is qalu, is when qalu they said li nabiyyin, to a prophet, lahum, of their, ib'as, appoint, lana, for us, malikan, a king, nuqatil, he may fight, fi, in sabilillah, in the way of Allah. So qala, he said, hal, would, asaytum, you perhaps, in, if, kutiba, prescribed, alaykumul kitalu, upon you, fighting, Allah, that not, tuqatilu, you fight, qalu, they said, wama lana, and what, lana means for us, Allah, that not, Nuqatila, we fight fi sabilillah, in the way of Allah. Waqad, while surely ukhrijna, we have been driven min diyarina, our homes, wa abna'ina, and our children, falamma, yet when kutiba, it was prescribed alayhim, upon them, al-kitalu, the fighting, tawallo, they turn away. Illa qalilam, except few, minhum, among them, wallahu, and Allah, alimun, knowing, bizzalimin, the wrongdoers. So here it is mentioned, have you not considered the assembly of children of Israel after the time of Musa al-Islam, when they said to prophet of theirs, send to us a king, we will fight in the way of Allah. He said, would you perhaps refrain from fighting? If fighting was prescribed for you, they said, why should we not fight in the cause of Allah? When we have been driven out from our homes and our children. But when fighting was prescribed for them, they turned away. Actually, when the hukum was given, they turned away, except for a few of them. And Allah is knowing of the wrongdoers. So let's see the detail for this. So, Alam tara ilal mala'i min bani Israel. Ayah number 246, Surah Al-Baqarah. Have you not considered the assembly of children of Bani Israel after the time of Musa al-Islam, when they said to a prophet of theirs, send to us a king, we will fight in the way of Allah. He said, would you perhaps refrain from fighting? If fighting was prescribed for you. We learned that about 300 years after the death of Musa al-Islam, the Bani Israel suffered great decline. So much so that their enemy destroyed them and confiscated their lands, killed their people. So they realized that they needed to do something collectively. They needed to get together and fight back and regain their freedom. So what happened? They went to their prophet and they said, please appoint a leader for us, so that we can acquire the goal. And then we can regain control of our lives. So what happened? The prophet said to them, are you just saying that, or are you really going to do it? They said, why should we not fight in the cause of Allah when we have been driven out from our homes and from our children? But Allah says, when the fighting was prescribed to them, they turned away, except for few of them. And Allah is knowing of the wrongdoers. So here it is mentioned, and so here the previous ayah, what was written, Turja'un till there, and then Alam Tara. There, when it was mentioned about Turja'un, they will written, eventually we will have to leave, our wealth will not stay with us. That was regarding wealth, right? While we are here, we should spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we can get the reward in this world. And we learn about the sadaqah, it will increase the wealth, it does not decrease. And also we learn in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah number 20, they strove in the way of Allah with their wealth. When it comes to money, we always think about how we can make it grow. But people give advice to invest money here and there, but this is about the akhirah. But after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about Alam Tara. Have you not seen the people? And here some word details will go into it and learn the more detail about it. And al-mala'i, mim lam hamza, the chiefs. Mil is from the same root and is used for the fill of something. Mala is used for a group of leaders or chiefs, high class elite people. These people don't go alone somewhere. They are accompanied by the people of same rank. They go in large numbers. Then they fill up a place. They fill the people's hearts. Without them, places are empty. It's a singular word that gives a plural meaning. So have you not considered the chiefs of children of Israel after Musa? We are not told who the prophet was, why the Bani Israel wanted to fight in the way of Allah. The important thing to get from this ayah is to come out with a lesson. So it is said that Bani Israel were upon truth, upon Tawheed after the time of Musa al-Islam. Tawheed means Islamic monotheism. After a while, they went astray and started to worship idols. As a result, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused the enemy to overpower them. So the enemies took over large portions of their land. Before, when Bani Israel were on the true deen, no one would be able to beat them. They kept indulging in misguidance. When a king among the Malikids, a nomadic nation living south of Palestine, took the tabut from them during a battle. So Bani Israel faced the Malikites in the battle. So tabut is the box that will be mentioned. So he also took the Torah and killed most of those who knew the Torah. Only a few had memorized the Torah that remained. So prophethood thus halted among the Israelites, except for one woman who was pregnant from the family of Levi, on whom the prophethood still existed. She prayed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give her a boy. So the Israelites kept her in the house hoping for a boy so that they would have a prophet. She had a boy and named him Shamun or Shamin, Shamwil, which means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has heard my pleas. In English, this name is Samuel. He grew to be a very righteous person. When he reached the age of prophethood, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him to call the people to oneness of the Allah. Revelation was also sent to him. He called the children of Israel to Allah. They asked him to appoint a king over them so they could fight their enemies under his command. So the kingship had also ended. Prophet asked them, what if Allah appoints a king over you? Will you fulfill your vow to fight under his command? This is mentioned in the following ayah. The situation of the Muslims in Medina was very similar to Bani Israel at that time. So Muslims are being, through this ayahs, told to pay attention and take a lesson, heed from this. When they migrated to Medina, the Battle of Badr took place and they had to defend themselves against the enemy. So they reflect upon the chiefs of Bani Israel when they ask Prophet, Muslims are being encouraged to fight their enemy through these ayahs. Through narrations, it is said this prophet that is being referred is Samuel in Medina. The Muslims were urged to fight. قَالُوا لِنَبِيٍّ They said to Prophet, Lahum for them, Ib'as, you appoint, raise lana for us, Malikan a king. Ib'as ba ain fa. Ba'asa literally means to raise. It is also used for appointing someone and giving them some responsibility. When one is appointed, they are raised in their status. Here it means you raise. Malikan, Mim, Lam, Kaf. Mulk means kingdom, sovereignty. Here Malakan is king or leader. They asked that a king be appointed so they could fight in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It shows us how important it is to have a leader when fighting. When the Muslims migrated to Medina, they were commanded to fight as they had leader and strength. Hal means question. This is for istifham. And asai tum, ain sinya, when it is followed by tum, it gives the meaning it might be on your part, it might be possible. So would it be possible on your part? When fighting is actually prescribed, they may say that they do not want to fight anymore. Allah, an plus la, qalu, the chief said, why should we not fight in the way of Allah? Ukhrijna is from kharajim, kharj. Wa abna'ina, plural of ibn. Here it means our children. So they are saying that they are deprived of their land and their children, said, why wouldn't we fight in the way of Allah after we have been driven from our homes and from our children, after our land and children have been taken away from us? So if the houses are plundered and one fight for the sake of Allah, then it is permissible. However, if one fights for the sake of gaining land, this is not fighting in the way of Allah. So when fighting was made obligatory upon them, tawallo, physically turned away. Bizalimina, plural of zalim. So one who does zulm, to place something where it does not belong, or to leave which is necessary, or tarkul wajib, leaving one's duty. If one's leave their duty, others suffers. That is what it means here. So they came to Prophet with much zeal to fight, but when it was commanded to them, only a few followed the commandments. Most of them turn away. Such people who request an obligation and then when commanded does not do it. He is a zalim. So sometimes we make a vow that if Allah gives such and such, I will do this. If I get A on my test, I will pray this nafil. If he doesn't pray them, he's committing zulm. It's not recommended to make vows, but okay, but you did it, right? So we learn lessons here. We are encouraged to reflect upon the ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, take a lesson from them. We apply the lesson to our lives. We also learn the virtue of a prophet. The people ask the prophet to appoint a king. A leader is very important to make sure there is a discipline and order. The prophet does not have to be leader in a war. Positions are based on merit. Prophets are very wise. When they asked prophet, he had wisdom to know what their response would be if such command of fighting was put forth. We should never ask for difficulties or trials. If we put in a difficulty, we should be patient. Arrogance, boasting is not like by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They made great claims that they can fight, but fighting was ordered. They turned away. So, inshallah, in upcoming classes, we'll continue this and we'll see, like here, we'll take a